Hi there, in this masterclass we are going to take a look at trend lines and channels. So what do we mean by trend lines and channels? We're going to take a look at the concept of trend, we're going to look at how to draw a trend line, and we're going to look at how to draw channels. So the concept of trend. What is a trend? Markets tend to move in a general direction, which in technical analysis we call a trend. An uptrend is a sequence of higher highs and higher lows within that trend. In an uptrend, price will rally to a high or a peak, then sell off or correct and retrace to a new low or a trough. A market in an uptrend has each peak in the rally reaching a higher level than the previous peak. Each low in the rally must be higher than the previous low in the rally. So here we have a weekly ASX 200 chart, and you can see in here we have higher highs and a series of higher lows as depicted here. A downtrend is a sequence of lower highs and lower lows. In a downtrend, price will sell off to a new low or a trough, then rally back to a new high or peak. A market that is in a downtrend has each low in the sell-off reaching a lower level than the previous low. Equally, each high in the sell-off must be lower than the previous sell-off high. So here in the infographic we see the lower lows and the lower highs, and here in the example on the daily ASX 200 chart we see a succession of lower highs and also a succession of lower lows for a downtrend. How do we look at and draw trend lines? Technical analysis is built on the assumption that prices trend. A trend line is a straight line that connects two or more price points to represent the trend in the market. The trend line extends into the future to act as a line of either support or resistance. Trend lines are used to show trend direction and critically used in the identification of trend extension or trend reversal. The more points used to draw the trend line, the more valid is the support or resistance represented by that trend line. So let's take a look at uptrends. An uptrend line is drawn off the lows of an upward trend, therefore has a positive slope. It is formed by connecting two or more low points, so the low points for an uptrend line. This line represents the market support every time it moves from a high to a new correction low. As long as price remains above the trend line, the uptrend is considered solid and intact. A break below the uptrend line indicates that the trend has weakened and a change in trend could be imminent. So here we have a succession of higher highs and higher lows, and we draw the uptrend line here on the lows. And here we have a chart of the weekly ASX 200, and we can see the chart drawn off the lows, the trend line drawn off the lows here, and you see the market here moves back down towards the trend line and moves away from the trend line. So this trend line is intact and supportive of further extension. Let's now look at the same concept but for a downtrend line. A downtrend line is drawn off the highs of a downward trend with a negative slope. It is formed by connecting two or more high points on that downtrend. This line represents the market resistance every time it moves from a low to a new corrective or swing high. As long as prices remain below the downtrend line, the downtrend is considered solid and intact. A break above the downtrend line indicates that the trend has weakened and a change in trend could be imminent, a trend reversal. So here we have on the graphic lower lows and lower highs, and the trend line here drawn off the consecutive lower highs for resistance in the downtrend. And here we see a daily ASX 200 chart and the trend line drawn off here and here, the market respecting the trend line here, but then eventually breaking above the trend line here. Finally, we're going to take a look at channels. A channel is a parallel line drawn in relation to either an up or down trend line. This parallel line should be drawn off the first notable reaction high in an uptrend and the reaction low in a downtrend. Channels will usually act as support or resistance as they define the pace or rate of the underlying trend. So here we have in an up channel, we draw the trend line of points 1 and 2 in the up channel, and then the high between those channels, we draw a panel between these points, these lows, we draw off the high, point 3, we draw a parallel line, and that then should form resistance in relation to this uptrend. Here we have the weekly ASX 200 chart, the trend line we looked at previously off of here and here, the paralleled line drawn off of this high here, and you can see acting as resistance through here. In a down channel, we draw the trend line on the graphic here between points 1 and 2, and then a parallel line off the next reaction low here off of 3. And here we see the daily ASX 200 chart, the trend line drawn off of here and here, off the low here. You can see that respecting it here and here, but then breaking down and accelerating below that channel as we move through this phase here. So in this masterclass, we've taken a look at trend, the concept of trend, trend lines, and channels. This has been Steve Miley for The Bull, and please do join us again on thebull.com.au and thebull.asia. Stay bullish.